Welcome or welcome back on WatchAdvisor on YouTube. It's Alexander speaking, your host, and in the picture you have the today's heroes or superstars of this video. On the left side it is the BVLGARI Octo Finissimo Chronograph GMT in its newest 2021 edition, and on your right side in your picture the BVLGARI Octo Finissimo S Chronograph GMT.
Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell to get our latest notifications.
Before we go really in medias res, let me just give you a quick first overview what you see in your picture. Left side, this is, as I just said, the Octo Finissimo Chronograph GMT 2021. That's a chronograph with a case thickness of 6.9 millimeters. Yes, it's correct, 6.9 millimeters. That was not a mistake. It's 30 meters waterproof. And on your right side, you have the new edition of the chronograph, the Finissimo S. S stands for Sport. The case is a little bit thicker, has 8.75 millimeters, but is 100 meter waterproof. And that's pretty amazing. To better understand 6.9 millimeters, I took a €2 coin. So this is a coin from the European Union, €2. And you can see the thickness. And now I take the chrono, 6.9 millimeters thickness, the case. And so you can imagine how thin this chronograph is. And yes, it is a world record, and I will tell you just more after showing you the Chrono S for Sport. You can see, yes, the watch is a little bit thicker. Look, a €2 coin, and it's 8.75 millimeters. But once again, this case, as you can see it in the picture, is 100 meter waterproof, has a screw down crown, and I will explain you the entire technology behind it just in a while. But let's now start, have a look at the first pictures I took under various light conditions, so you can discover those watches, how they look like. You will have sunlight, less sunlight, not only under the artificial light I'm having here in my studio with exactly 5,400 Kelvin. You discover them. Let me tell you a little bit of a story behind the Octo Finissimo. The Octo Finissimo was a really rule breaker from the very first moment when it made its entrance in 2014 in the watchmaking world. It had redefined the boundaries of style and modernity with this new way of making a watch. It was or is still a bold alternative to the established codes of traditional men's timepieces. It's an 8-sided ultra-thin design, an intersection of a circle and a square inspired. Yes, BVLGARI is a jeweler that is the house BVLGARI is based in Rome, so it's inspired by Rome's architectural wonders, of course, yes. And those wonders rendered throughout the line in minimalist, mainly monochrome aesthetic. Yes, yes, yes. And now the Octo Finissimo, they started in 2014, and the one word that really goes through the entire collection until today is the word thinnest. Thin, thin, thin. It was in 2014 that BVLGARI set a world record with the first world's thinnest tourbillon. 2016, the thinnest minute repeater. In 2017, the thinnest automatic watch. In 2018, the thinnest automatic tourbillon. And in 2019, the thinnest automatic chronograph, the one you have on your left side. This is the newest edition in the picture. And in 2020, they topped the entire défilé of ultra-thin watches with the thinnest tourbillon chronograph. Stunning, yes. 6.9 millimeters on your screen. Wow, 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 this is really thin. You hardly can imagine that this is a chronograph. And there you go, and what you see now is the BVLGARI 318 caliber. It's an automatic movement with a peripheral rotor. So what you see here, where you have the engraving BVLGARI, is the automatic rotor. The rotor is peripheral, so it gives full visibility on the movement, but the main purpose of having such a rotor, of course, with such a movement is to keep the thinness, because if you would attach the rotor in the center here somewhere, it would add lots of thickness, and this was not the purpose of doing it. So the movement itself has a thickness of 3.3 millimeter. Another superlative, the thinnest automatic chronograph movement in the moment, 3.3 millimeters, 55 hours of power reserve. It's a 4 Hertz movement, 28,800 semi-oscillations. And as I just said, 55 hours of power reserve. So, wow, everything you want to have, almost. Now, let me quickly run you through what you see on the dial. This is very important, I wanted to say. So, there you have, it is, of course, you have in the integrated case, I didn't say that before, excuse me. So, the case is 42 millimeters, thickness, I said, 6.9, and of course, yes, the lug-to-lug distance. I've been measuring the lug-to-lug distance, but this time to show you exactly where I've been measuring it here, where those lugs sit really on your wrist. I would say from here to here, somewhere in the middle, and it's 47 millimeters, the lug-to-lug distance. So I have not been going really until the end of the lug, but I've been measuring, where you have the spring bar. Let's say where the spring bar is, from spring bar to spring bar, that's the point where I measured those 47 millimeters. So now let's concentrate on what we see on the dial. First of all, we have the running second at 9 o'clock, always in action. As long as the watch is worn, it is an automatic movement, as you just saw. You have a 30-minute counter for the chronograph. Yes, this is more than enough, because this is, of course, not a chronograph. You will do heavy measurements, or you do really sports measurements. It's more a lifestyle, cool, ultra cool lifestyle chronograph you can use to boil your spaghettis and to make good tea in the right time, etc., etc. And now, important, what is this? 24-hour indication. Haha. This is a really cool feature, because BVLGARI said, okay, it's not only enough to have a chronograph, a cool chronograph that is so ultra thin, and that is setting world records, but we also added a so-called second zone time function that you can use when you travel. Now, as you can see, I have been synchronizing the times. We do have indicated 10 o'clock here and 10 o'clock here. So both dials do show 10 o'clock AM, 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And now, if you would travel, you could easily, by pushing on the push piece on this side, here it is. If you push on the push piece on this side, you can see, you can change the time. So you can easily, while traveling, reset the hours of your BVLGARI Finissimo chronograph, and you will have indicated, without stopping the watch, without losing the correct time, you will have indicated the local time, and the little dial at 3 o'clock, the dial will of course stay where it is at 10 o'clock. If you want to do a complete adjustment, what you have to do is you have to pull out the crown, and then you will see now the hand on the little dial is moving as well with the central minute and hour hand. And let's go now to 10 o'clock in the evening to show you this difference. I will not cover the minute hand, I will not cover the dial with the minute hand, so you can see that's the difference in between what we have seen now and before. So now this is 10 o'clock in the evening, and still again, if you want to make some adjustments, as I just showed you, you just press and you can readjust the time to any you want to, where you headed to, or where you landed, or where you need to set it to. Let's come to the chronograph functions. This is not a flyback chronograph. Of course, this would now be far too much. Integrate also this kind of technology in this 4 Hz movement. You have start, stop, push piece here, the start and stop push piece here. And as I just said, since it's not a flyback chronograph, when you push here, nothing happens. There's a security, so you can use, it makes no sense to use it, but if you by coincidence use or push on the push piece to reset the chronograph, nothing will happen, so it is secured. So now let me turn around the chronograph and show you the movement. It is a column wheel chronograph. There it is, the column wheel. And I made some nice pictures in the sun. Please quickly have a look where I'm operating the column wheel and you can see it. Have a look, there it is. You can see clearly when I stop the chronograph, the column wheel is of course being activated. And now let's come back to the light in the studio, and I will also show this. I will try to get a little bit of a reflections for you. Then you can clearly see, yeah, you can clearly see the column wheel that is being operated. And what happens that the chronograph central wheel is being activated or getting activated and deactivated. So the chronograph takes the central chronograph hand and makes it turn, of course. Yeah, so you can see this here in the middle. You can see this intermediate chronograph wheel, and it is either in contact with the chronograph central wheel that is of course covered, but you can clearly see it here. It is, that's the chronograph central wheel, and depending on which position the nose is on the column wheel, it is either, now it is deactivated. You can clearly see they have been disconnected. This intermediate chronograph wheel has been disconnected from the chronograph central wheel. It is not in action, and now when I pull, it is. There we go. So how is the watch being wound? I mentioned it before. This is a peripheral rotor. You can clearly see a segment with the engraving of BVLGARI. This is the more heavier part of the rotor. So if I am now turning the watch, you can see that the BVLGARI sign will always point towards the center of the earth, or where gravity is, of course. So, and then you can clearly see there is a rotor. This is not a decoration. This is not any thing that has to do with the housing of the movement in the case. So this is clearly a winding rotor they use, and so they were able to keep that ultra thin construction you see in the picture. This Octo Finissimo Chronograph GMT titanium features a titanium grade 5 case. I did not say this before, so it's grade 5 titanium. All the parts are made out of titanium grade 5, and it is combined with a rubber strap, as you can see it here. I will turn it around for you. So this is a nice and perfectly fitting rubber strap with, of course, a titanium pin buckle. Yes, you can see the surface. Looks good. Almost no shiny surfaces. So when you're wearing this, it's kind of a stealth watch you have on your wrist, I have to say. The sapphire crystal is anti-reflective, has an anti-reflective treatment on both sides. You can clearly see this. Almost no reflection. Same applies to the backside. Perfectly done. And yes, the watch is, as I said, 30 meters waterproof. And now let's have a look at the Chrono S. S for sport, a little bit thicker, stainless steel, and some differences I will explain you. Now in the picture, the Chronograph Finissimo S. I try to pronounce it a little bit Italian, Finissimo. S for sport, sporty. The sporty way of life, the Italian I would say. Okay, the watch features the same movement, the 318, BVLGARI 318 calibre. It is a 4 Hertz, as I said, 28800, is 3.3 millimeters thick, has 55 hours of power reserve, and as well as the other chrono you just saw with the titanium case, also features this very nice second zone time feature. So let me now show you a lug-to-lug distance I have been measuring also for this case from approximately here, one spring bar to the other spring bar is again 47 millimeters. But this case is slightly thicker, 43 millimeters versus 42 millimeters, and this is due to the water resistance of 100 meters. Please imagine how often have you been criticizing or at least commenting in one of the videos I have been producing, what about the waterproofness? Why is it only 30 meters or why is it only 60 meters? This ultra thin 8.75 millimeter thick stainless steel sport watch is waterproof to 100 meters, and this is really amazing, and we have to say yeah, kudos to BVLGARI for making this possible. It is a stainless steel watch. Compared to the other, weighs 139 grams, so the entire watch here weighs 139 grams, and the titanium version only weighs 66 grams. You don't feel it even on your wrist. I've been talking about the movement. First, the same movement with the automatic peripheral rotor, so no difference. Here you have again the BVLGARI sign that of course points to the center of gravity and is influenced by gravity, and therefore it is the heavier part of the automatic rotor. You have the same movement with the column wheel. It's the same movement, exactly the same movement, 3.3 millimeters thick. But it has a screw down crown with a clever combination of gaskets that make it possible that the watch is waterproof 100 meters. Yes, they had to increase also the size, the thickness of the sapphire crystal on top, on the back. They needed more space to also integrate gaskets in the push piece you use to change the second zone time. The push pieces to start, stop and reset. They needed space. This is a construction they had to do. But the most important is of course the screw down crown, and you can see I've been unscrewing it. You clearly see this now, and when I pull it out you see the watch stops, and as I just showed you before with the titanium version, you can see that I'm now changing from 10 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the evening, PM, 10 PM, or yep, there we go. And you can see I have been changing. The hand of the second zone time indication has moved from here to here, and it's now 10 PM. And parallel to, I will just close it to make it tick again, the watch. And if you're traveling also with this version, you can now use the push piece at 9 o'clock to reset the time to any time you want, and you have indicated local time here and home time here, so you easily see if it is night or day at home. Same applies of course as to the titanium version, 30-minute counter, and the running second is at 9 o'clock. You have the BVLGARI 12, applied 12, very nice, shines nice. We have some nice pictures that show this, please. So we can see, yes, you see that shining 12 on the dial. It's an applied 12, looks nice like the applied indexes, of course, here. Yes, there we go. And now please watch, I can close the crown again with gloves. It's not easy because I will sliver probably, but I will try to close it so you can see. Yeah, you see I'm screwing down and now it is closed again, and the watch is waterproof, 100 meters. So you can wear a very super elegant 8.75 millimeters thick chronograph with a fully integrated steel bracelet. Very nicely done. Combination of brushed and polished surfaces, mirroring this excellent octagonal style of the Octo Finissimo. It is a folding clasp. Yes, the little flaw, some of you probably already saw it when I opened it. There is no length fine adjustment available here. But it will be impossible probably to integrate anything in such a thinness, because if I show you that they have been drilling, this part has been completely milled out, not drilled, milled out of the bracelet. So when you close the folding clasp, that these inner parts are absorbed by the bracelet. But it is a beautiful bracelet. Once adjusted to your wrist, it should fit normally. And of course, you can for sure in the future choose this Octo Finissimo S chronograph, I'm sure also with a rubber strap. This will be part of I'm sure, offered by BVLGARI, because I am also sure that some will not want to wear it with such a massive, if you want, massive steel bracelet, and prefer probably a much more lighter and also easier to handle rubber strap. Lume shot is next. So the titanium version does not have any superluminova applied on the dial. The stainless steel Finissimo S chronograph has, as you can clearly see, there is superluminova, and here comes. So the lume shot shows us clearly that there is a superluminova being applied on the hands and on the indexes. Unfortunately, the 12 does not feature any superluminova. This would have been very cool, and I would have considered to do this, because imagine you look at the watch and you have that 12 that is also a very particular number for BVLGARI and part of the BVLGARI design, so would have been cool. But okay, that's how it is. Is there something I don't like particularly on this chronograph? Yes, there is something, and it's once again, for those watching my videos, the graduation of the chronograph that is applied here in between the seconds. We have a graduation that is done for a chronograph, a 2.5 Hertz chronograph, and 18,000 semi-oscillations, but this is a 4 Hertz chronograph 28800, so the graduation is wrong. And now please watch when the second hand is swiping over the dial. It does not even come close to the graduation or to that fine graduation. So my question here is, and this is what I would say, here, probably here when it passes by, it comes a little bit close, but readability in the sense of you stop the central second hand and you read something in between those seconds. The graduation on the graduation scale is not given because the second hand, the central second hand, is too short. Has to be because it's not a round case. So my question to the designers is, why not just getting rid of those dots indicating a graduation, and in this case the wrong graduation, because you have 4 of them, and those 4 of them are there for the 1/5 of a second, and that would apply to a chronograph that is operated by a movement featuring a 2.5 Hertz, featuring 2.5 Hertz or 18,000 semi-oscillation. This is a 4 Hertz, 28,800, 1/8 of a second, so the chronograph hand swipes over the dial in the speed of 1/8 of a second, and there should be another graduation, so in case you would stop the hand, you could read the correct time. So my guess would be just get rid of those, and I think it would even look nicer if you would increase the size of the seconds in between the minutes, or the 5 if you would have a bigger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 second marker. And I would say this would be a guess, but maybe let's discuss it and you share opinions. What do you think? You don't read anything. Look, the hand is always swiping in a, let's say pretty in a distance, not even coming close to what they call in watchmaking the minuterie of the watch. Same applies, of course, for the minute hand, only when it is in the edges on the, then you have approximately, you can see, but look, the minute hand is also not getting there, and so it makes absolutely no sense, in my humble opinion, to have those graduation dots, and yes, on top, they're wrong. Let me show you this on the other chronograph. You have the same, you have those 4 dots, little dots for the gradation of 1/5 of a second, and of course it's wrong here too. And imagine how the watch would look like if these graduation dots would not be there. I dare to say the watch or this chronograph would look cooler, and let's say a little bit more, or less is more in this case. Less is more, it's too busy on a dial with that graduation that is anyhow useless, since, as I just showed you with the titanium version, the second hand is not long enough to be able to touch the minuterie, and so you can't read anything. Besides this, these 2 chronographs really do impress me in terms of design, in terms of creativity, in terms of superlative. Why? So thin, so cool. This watch exceptionally, with the titanium case, weighs, I said it before, 66 grams. If you have it on your wrists, the watch literally melts with your wrist, and you don't feel the chronograph. Once the case has body temperature, or you don't feel the cold, you don't get that cold feeling of putting something on your wrist that has not the same temperature. Once this happened, it is melting literally with you. You don't have the feeling anymore to wear something. So beautiful, so stunning. And once again, let me just repeat and remind you once again, this is not only the thinnest chronograph actually being manufactured, it also has a second zone time indication. So really Bulgari thought people wearing the watch, traveling with the watch, giving them that little extra. Fantastic. I'm really excited to have them here. Excited about what Bulgari has been done. And when I saw those Bulgari Finissimo watches the first time, I said to Guido Tereni, who was head of the Bulgari watchmaking department, he left. Meanwhile, he is now in charge of Parmigiani, the Parmigiani group, and you will see him very soon. With me also, we will see him back. But when Guido showed me those watches, I said to Guido at the time being, this is every decade in the watchmaking industry has its design, and in this decade the coolest design is the BVLGARI Octo Finissimo. And this applies of course also to those chronographs as you see them here. And once again I have to, let me grab the €2 coin. This is the €2 coin, and I put it on top here. Can you see this? Yeah, that's 6.9 millimeters. This is incredible. So beautiful. Yep, even the 8 point and something millimeters, they are not thick. It's a little bit thicker, yes, but due to the fact that they added to the case a waterproofness, or they gave the case a waterproofness of 100 meters. Wonderful watches, indeed. I'm very curious to read your comments about the watches. Let me know what you think about those Octo Finissimo chronographs. Let me know if you would wear one, if this is an option that you would want to wear, such an ultra-thin watch. What do you think about the fact that the watch on your right side is waterproof to 100 meters? About the thinnest automatic chronograph movement, column wheel, of course, with that nice function of showing a second zone time, etc., etc. I'm very curious to read your comments. Now the big question is, what do these watches cost? Yes, they are not cheap. I have to say they are not cheap. The one you see now, the Octo Finissimo Chronograph GMT, the 2021 edition with that new dial, is sold for 17,400 euros, including 19% VAT. In Germany, it's the price in Germany I have here. And the Octo Finissimo S for sport, the thicker case for sport, 100 meter waterproof, is sold for 17,000 euro, as you see it in the picture right now. Expensive, yes, but exclusive also. A superlative, I would say, if we think about what I just explained you through the video: thinness, exclusivity, small quantity, and there's no other company manufacturing anything comparable. So it's exclusive to Bulgari. There's only one company being in competition. It's Piaget with Bulgari, and they are competing against each other to present thinner and thinner mechanisms. But at the moment, the chronograph Bulgari is having and selling the thinnest chronograph, automatic chronograph for the moment. So there's no other one. And yes, such technology has a price. Also, please comment on this. Is it acceptable to pay 17,400 euros for the titanium grade 5 case with, once again, the function to change the zone, the local time whilst you're traveling? Let us discuss about it. Thanks for watching the video. Bye-bye for now, stay safe and sound, and let us meet back again on WatchAdvisor on YouTube for the next video that will come very soon. Bye-bye for now.